Hey guys, I'm very happy to be here today and give a little overview on where I'm coming from, a little bit of background, and hopefully it will inspire you to become great game developers in the future. So obviously you already kind of know who I am, but let me say something about me. I've been a nerd since I was like, I think forever, but really it started when I was 4 years old. My dad introduced me to computers. It's way back in the early 80s, so we were extremely early adopters of PCs, and I started playing there. My dad always wanted me to code, but I was more interested in the games themselves, and I loved it. I started to love games, comic books, sci-fi, fantasy, was always reading a lot. So I always very much felt like what we would call a nerd. Back in the days, that was not necessarily a positive connotation. Now it is. In my opinion, this century is a century of nerds. We kind of already co-rule the world if you look at Amazon and Google and all those kind of companies and some of the extremely growing gaming companies too. But I think games as a culture technique is such a powerful force for so many things. It's not just for entertainment, as you know, you have a little bit of fun, you do some escapism, as we call it, where you basically get out of what's called the physical reality and just enjoy yourself in kind of a dreamy world. Then there is, of course, opportunities to learn. There's opportunities to mingle, to have a social life there, which was especially interesting during Corona. I think nowadays, really everybody understands the power of games as a culture technique and the power of games to bring people together. And this is why I'm so happy to be able to speak to you today, because you are the next wave, right? You are in education right now. You're pondering what to do in life, and I'm here to tell you there is so many things you can do in gaming. So many things where you can take your passion, your interest for technology, for games, for art, for culture. And in my opinion, games are the most modern form of culture and to express yourself in art. And I really want to show you that you can do this not only if you are a coder, not only if you are a great game designer, or you don't need to study business. I studied philosophy. I think that was a great basis for me to, first of all, think, be sharp in the moment, to also understand of who I am, what I want in life, and especially what can be done in life and what can be the impact of a single person on all of humanity and all of history. So I'm epic like this when I try to explain it to you because this is how I feel and this is why I'm doing my job. Us forming the remote control family more than 16 years ago was not just a business rationale. It was coming out of my guts. It was coming out of my heart. And I'm so happy that I found colleagues and allies over all those years to do it with me together. It is really about empowering developers to be able to focus on the development, to be able to focus on the development of great cultural impact games or others which are just entertainment, which is basically also very nice and totally respectable to make serious games. So we worked with Ministry of Defense. We worked with the organization in Germany which helps the youth to search for new jobs and stuff like this. This is important to me. This is what the power of games can actually bring to the table, that you can tackle interesting challenges and interesting missions with what's called games as a culture technique. You might wonder, games, play and all this kind of stuff sounds all, a little bit childish still for some people. In my opinion, and please think about it, even games as a description, as a name, is not necessarily ideal. It's a bit misleading, and it has been misleading for decades. There's a lot of people who never played games, who never, took the effort to dive in, kind of always thought, yeah, it's childish, right? Games are for kids and all this kind of stuff. It is not. If you think of the term play is also the term for drama and all this. This is one of the oldest culture techniques there is in humanity. It's very clear that people, even going back to the Stone Age, were already imitating each other, having forms of play And this is also how you learn languages. You know, so your parents show you something, you try to then do it again. That's all kind of forms of play. So intellectually, games is not bad. Games doesn't have a bad connotation, but in reality, it does. Still, maybe that changes, and I'm pretty sure it will over time. But maybe it's also fair to think of games a little bit more broadly. And as I said already a couple of times, as a culture technique. So it's not just for, you know, the PC people to do games they played back in the days. You know, it's all great, but you know, this is one aspect. Or for the serious games people to make all serious. You know, what a bad description of a very cool thing. But it is here to help basically everybody. You know, during Corona, there's a couple of games I call Corona games. Among Us is a Corona game. Fall Guys is a Corona game. Valheim is a Corona game. All of them were especially amplified because we sit at home with our asses and we miss social interaction. And those games are helping us with this kind of social interaction to feel connected, to feel together, to even have a little bit of purpose. You know, we playing Valheim at the moment with some of our colleagues, and you know, I dug a lot of holes and moats around our fortress, and so it even gives in difficult times like this, it gives us a sense of purpose. You know, you might argue, what the fuck, man? You know, who cares if you build a moat about your fortress? I do, and my colleagues in the game do. So this is why it's meaningful, because in the end, this idea of, you know, the one thing is real, the other is virtual, doesn't make any sense. Both of it is real. One is physical, the other is virtual. So if you ever find someone, even now still during your university time, who tells you, "Yeah, it's only virtual, blah blah blah," show them the finger and tell them that they didn't really think through it. That, of course, if you go back in philosophy and argue what really reality is, and you know what are the choices we can do as human beings, you know, if you do not really understand that the virtual reality is also real and can establish social interactions and friendships and all that kind of stuff, in my opinion, you're plainly an idiot. And if you're an idiot who's just didn't wasn't exposed to it before, and have a discussion with someone else, and then you think about it and you grow, totally fine. You know, then you're a clever idiot because you overcome that ignorance. But if you just stay in your little silo and think, you know, this is how I see things and this is how it should be, then you stay an idiot, and that would be really sad. And I hope all of you don't want to stay idiots if you are, or you know, basically grow as human beings. First of all, of course, through education, you get empowered, and then ideally you also emancipate, because us empowering you is a little bit condescending, if you're honest. So in the end, it's a push, it's a help for you to emancipate yourself, to think on your own, to make decisions on your own, to make choices in life. Ideally, you know, you becoming game entrepreneurs, game designers, game developers, whatever, but ideally, of course, in this context, connected to games. But please do it as conscious and as aware and as driven by you as possible, because you're the future, you're the younglings, the Padawans. I'm a mild Star Wars fan, so to say. So take those opportunities you have and be ambitious, be bold. And if you ever need to bounce something off, you know, you will find me on social media. Go interact with me, interact with all the other professors, people who come and visit your location to help you, to guide you. Don't let them necessarily lead you, but accept that they can guide you and support you. So again, in my summary, games are the culture technique of the century. Take all these opportunities out there. Do what you think you have to do from your guts of who you are, and use games for good. Be constructive and keep on gaming. Thanks a lot for being here, and enjoy the show. Cheers.